días.
Good morning.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning again. Welcome back. Thank you for being on time after the coffee break. It's so good. The veggie bowls were so good that we can't part from them. I wouldn't say this is the most important panel of the conference. It is nevertheless the panel of the future. The roundtable of the future, because we'll be having the intervention of the students, doctors, lawyers, and biotechnologists to be. So let's listen to them carefully to see what they can contribute with, because they're so young and they have a completely different point of view from what we could have. So let's get started with La Salle School in La Felguera, presented by Lucía Fernández Carmona, Nayara Campa López, and Covadonga Cela Fernández, cuarto de la ESO. And they will be talking about opening the can of worms.
Se abre un melón.
So opening the can of worms is an expression that we use when we want to open up a debate that is controversial. So this is the title of the multidisciplinary project that we have developed at the La Salle School in Bioethics. It's a project articulated from the biology subject with the participation of the cuarto de la ESO class in philosophy, art expression, English, French, and Asturian language. We talk about biology, biotechnology, genetic editing, and of course CRISPR-Cas. We watch movies and play online games, read books, and discuss this topic in the philosophy subject, even if it's beyond what we can grasp because of its complexity, but we understand that genetic editing is here to stay. We focus on gene editing that will break the history line, the historic line, the family line, the germ line. It will be a discrimination that will create social inequalities between those who could pay for them and those who can't. So from these conclusions, we think that it should be regulated so that it can benefit every human being by guaranteeing dignity and freedom. It has to be regulated by committees. But the art world cannot turn a blind eye to this controversy. So we have worked on several papers on this subject, and we have created an artistic performance, for example, based on a song from the 50s, La Vaca Asturiana no da leche merengada. You cannot get special milk or ice cream from a cow, that shows with an irony point that how we can tackle this topic. So we vindicate the role of transgenic food. It's a wall painting with a cow and several displays that in an exaggerated manner show cows with a surreal physical aspect, and an explanatory video clip. So this is the video we have created. In Spain, instead of opening a can of worms, we talk about opening up a melon. Today, almost everybody is against the use, the growing of transgenic food, TGS. But even if you don't know, you have it on your table in eggs, in biscuits, in meat. Almost all products coming from animals come from cows, pigs, sheep, chicken fed with transgenic food. So we have worked with several papers about this topic, and we have created artworks with this. For example, we have created a cow to talk about transgenic food. It's a wall painting and 3 displays with color bottle mix on an artificial lawn. And genetically modified organism has been genetically modified to treat some characteristics. For example, with that you can get crops that resist droughts and diseases. But at what cost? At what expense? Because nobody can guarantee they are safe for human consumption. The only trials that guarantee their efficacy and safety have been funded by the manufacturing companies. Asturias is a natural paradise, and we wanted to stay that way. We only want milk and meat coming from natural cows. And this is the result: totally natural milk with all the proteins and with all the nutrients. The title of this performance is a song from the 50s, but we have exaggerated it by creating surreal cows and colored bottled milks, because they have been genetically modified to make them more attractive and produce flavored milk to increase the consumption of milk. This is just an artwork, but we want to raise awareness among the population so that they can understand how to consume better. So while on the lines of this video, the language department created a translation in English and in French. So we have questioned the morality of genetic editing, because we want to give an answer to some of human concerns. But genetic editing must be controlled and regulated. So we're not translating live because you can find English subtitles on screen. Thank you.
Por aquí estamos trabajando unos cuantos doctores y médicos y también científicos. Aquí están los biólogos, están los de biotecnología y los de bioquímica. Además contamos con cirujanos especiales y mucho valor. Perdón, doctor, quería nada más enfocar una cosita que se me está poniendo un poco sin ningún problema. Quiero que tengan el trabajo cooperativo. Les dudes son de primerísima importancia. Sí, sin problema. Bueno, quería nada más saber por qué estamos haciendo esto. Yo pensaba que íbamos a curar el cáncer o la diabetes, pero parece que... Estás haciendo lo que nos pagan por hacer. Si quieres que el ejército le importa curar esto, curar lo otro, tienes un problema. Y si no, ya sabes dónde está la puerta. Pero, bueno, perdón, doctor, no, yo no me cuestionar. Vamos a seguir con el tour. Oye, pero esto, ¿vamos a pensarlo aquí? Claro, no. Yo creo que sí, pero esto es lo que dice el doctor. Salvador el punto. ¿Y ningún apuro? ¿Pero de qué es que pegamos? ¿Qué pasa aquí? ¿Que esto no viene nada? ¿Abandona? Pues entonces ya se ha sentado la puerta. Sí, mira. Y además, yo no puedo diferencia entre tú. ¿De verdad se lo vamos a pinchar? A mí no. Yo lo que tenemos que hacer. Venga, vamos, ¿qué estáis esperando? Bueno, que sea lo que Dios quiera. ¿Qué me pediste?
llamaron al mes un alto mando del ejército. Decían que ya era importante que siguiera con mi proyecto. Sobre todo yo, que lo llevo desde dentro. Llegaron a decirme que ya era lo mejor para mi familia. Sabían que mi papá estuvo detenido para 30 años por conducir borracho. Pero no me educaran para matar la cabeza ante los injusticias, no.
¿Y ahora?
Ahora nada, ahora cada vez frisáis lo que se sepa lo que se está haciendo con esperes públicas y que cada un surgue si parece bien o no.
Calláis, vamos, vamos.
¡Mirailo, mirailo! ¡Está ahí!
A tope nos menos mal. Ahora. Esto puede pasar a cualquiera, no creéis que solo me va a pasar a mí. ¿Quién va a poner dientes a esta gente? ¿Quién va a poner dientes a la ciencia? ¿Quién va a poner dientes a la ciencia?
Durante este curso, los alumnados de cuarto de la ESO.
So the class of cuarto de la ESO, so it's 12th grade, have been reflecting upon this because everything we are reflecting upon will help us create a better life, a better future, a more ethical future where life can thrive. So you can see it over there for the Q&A session. Now we have the students from the Jovellanos High School. So the title is CRISPR Genetic Editing by Catherine Blasek, Miguel Ángel González, Roy Calvo, Pablo Redondo, Laura González and Sara Vázquez.
Buenos días. Tengo en mis manos una goma, una simple goma. Si algo no me gusta, lo puedo borrar. Puedo utilizar también este lápiz para volver a escribir sobre ello. Ahora llevemos esto al mundo de la genética. Imaginad que tenéis en vuestras manos una goma capaz.
Now this is an eraser, and I can erase everything, and then with a pencil I can rewrite it. Imagine you can do this in the world of genomics. So this is what CRISPR-Cas9 does. This is a fascinating tool that enables you to modify gene sequences accurately, and it opens up new avenues for the future where genetic diseases can be a thing of the past, where we can shape our humanity. But just like an eraser can erase mistakes or important details, essential details in a sketch, CRISPR-Cas also paves the way for deep ethical dilemmas onto what to draw the line between healing and genetically modifying. Are we playing a game in which we can better masterwork, or are we erasing and taking risks? Where should we go to in this pursuit of genetic perfection? What implications does it have for genetic diversity and equity? We are going to show you how this tool is transforming our understanding of biology and genetics and the role we should take in manipulating the fundamental blocks of life. This is a challenge. This is an adventure that pushes the boundaries of science and morality. Pablo will explain the technique. So as my colleague said, the CRISPR-Cas9 technique uses restriction in the nucleus. It's molecular scissors that can cut a specific place. It was discovered in bacteria as part of the immune system. But how does it work? Look at the image. Bacteriophage stores genetic material inside the bacteria that then is conveyed into the CRISPR material. And Cas9 will be the restriction in the nucleus that will cut it. So next time the virus infects the bacterium, the enzyme Cas9 will be meeting the genetic sequence of the virus and cut it. So Emmanuel Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna in 2012 considered the possibility of using this on human beings, not just for the immune system, but also to possibly modify the genome. But this, of course, will entail ethical problems. But let's see the technique applied to human beings. So first of all, those in charge of using this technique will create guide RNA sequence that will complement the target DNA, or the segment of the genetic material that we want to cut. This guide RNA will bind to the Cas9 enzyme and will guide it to the DNA target that will acknowledge it, that will recognize it and cut it. And then the DNA needs to be repaired, modified, or improved. So that's when we can do a genetic insertion with the adequate gene and modify the gene information to express a new result. For example, we can use cancer as an example. If we can detect the target DNA sequence that holds the cancer information, we can create a guide RNA that will complement that sequence, that will bind to the Cas9 enzyme and will guide it to the target sequence. Then it will cut it and will remove the cancer possibility. But then Miguel Ángel González Picos will talk about the technical applications.
Muy bien. Some types of cancer have not been caused by the entry of pathogenic genes in our body, but rather by external factors that start to replicate without control. These cells can go into metastasis and going into the lymph or the blood. Also, the great capacity of mutation they have result in our system not being able to fight against them. Thanks to CRISPR-Cas, we have advanced a lot in the understanding of this disease, the cancer, with genetically modified mice, so that they have proteins, specific proteins, to create some kind of fluorescence, as they did in the University of California, or human oncological cells with certain proteins that can be seen under microscope. Thanks to this technique, we can also create immunity cells to attack the cancer, so that we do not need techniques as cryotherapy, because of the secondary effects. They are not very good. CRISPR-Cas9 can be used in different frameworks, as for example the crop cells, or also in tissues or embryos, or also to alter genes related to a specific disease. However, this technique also poses some problems. For example, the failure in the editing, which may result in the death of the embryo. That's why this technique still needs some study. In some countries, they are starting to publish some studies to study the phases of embryonic period, not only to understand reproductive biology and to avoid interruptions, but also to study the capacities of CRISPR-Cas9 on embryos. In Spain, 2020, the Autonomous Community of Catalonia allowed the first genetic editing in human beings to the Institute of Bell Beach, and it was led by the biologist Ana Veiga. There is also a possibility to modify our embryos by giving them new characteristics that we could establish in future generations. For example, we could be immune to certain diseases as Alzheimer's, improve the metabolism, or also focus on aesthetic issues. For example, modify the hair color, eye color. We all know about natural selection, the process that has been with us for millions of years. And since the first cell, Luca, was identified until today. This is a slow process and very complex because it is very random. And thanks to CRISPR-Cas9, we could do an artificial selection that could be faster and could allow us to choose the genes and identify the genes to be modified. It would be a kind of evolution of the human evolutionary system, a way to make headway on a volunteer basis. In Spain, it is illegal because we have some laws, the law on biomedical research 2007, or the oppositions to the Convention of Oviedo 1997. However, one day, maybe in the future, we can modify our embryos, and maybe one day all our kids are tall, blonde, and have blue eyes. It may seem that we're facing the key for a great future for our generations. But genetic modification is of our concern, because you're choosing some genetic traits and not others, either to fight against malaria or cancer, or to choose some physical traits. Depending on the application of this technology, we could provoke a trend of eugenetic practices, that is, to modify genetic inheritance, to modify our breed. Then, should we have the right to alter something as fundamental as the genes of the people, independently of the reasons? Using CRISPR to select or modify genetic traits in babies, for example, aiming to improve physical characteristics, cognitive characteristics, etc., could be biased by other factors. Away from the scientific field, how can we ensure equality of opportunities if we embrace this technology, because there is a high probability that only a very limited group of people can benefit from it, and therefore it would result in inequalities. At the same time, universal access could lead to the fact that this power could fall in the wrong hands. We can imagine it with the next examples. Great leaders could reinforce their power with armies genetically modified to strengthen their powers. We also have to take into account that although CRISPR, correction my speaker, is one of the most efficient techniques, it can also go wrong. Editing can happen in another fragment and other changes may happen. You want to cure a disease and you are creating another one involuntarily. Or you are creating other beings and you did not want to create them, and that may be bad for the general health or population. Could we create the perfect human being with a defective tool? Well, right now people think that through science you can reach truth. But up to what extent is that statement true? Because maybe in the future the science cannot solve those issues that come up as a consequence of this innovation. That's why we have to study this technique and improve it. CRISPR-Cas could lead to many social consequences, risking lives. We should not feed our will to have everything. Genetic engineering has a promising future, especially with CRISPR, but we need to know how and when to apply this innovative element.
En definitiva, tenemos muy claro que CRISPR.
So we know that CRISPR-Cas9 has arrived and is here to stay, offering a capacity to edit DNA in an accurate and efficient way. Its potential to treat genetic diseases or cancers has generating emotion among scientists and physicians. Imagine now a world in which genetic diseases may be corrected before they damage the organism, or a world in which viruses such as HIV can be eliminated from the human body, or a world in which cancerous genes, cells can be attacked and eliminated. This is the potential of CRISPR-Cas9, a world in which medicine can be customized and effective. However, it comes hand in hand with many challenges, practical and ethical ones. Safety and accuracy have to be subject to study, so we have to address the concerns on effects that are not wished, or the implications or the unforeseen consequences. We should also be taking into account social consequences. How can guarantee that access is equal to everybody? What is the impact on genetic diversity? And what about equality of opportunities if only a limited number of people can use this technique? It is essential that we make forward in research and application of CRISPR-Cas9 on the basis of collaboration. And this involves not only the development of new technologies, but also to create ethical frameworks to regulate the responsible use. Currently, genetic editing publications in the European Union are very few. The only comment is the prohibition of euthanasia that is mentioned in Article 3.2 of the Charter of Human Fundamental Rights of the European Union. However, this norm does not seem to be applicable in our case, unless we understand that any type of genetic modification with a therapeutic aim can be a form of euthanasia. Therefore, CRISPR-Cas9 challenges us, and we have to reflect upon the future that we want to build. You want to be responsible, effective, and revolutionize the medicine and improve the quality of life of millions of people, or on the contrary, we are moving towards the involution of our species, eliminating the diversity that characterizes us as human beings. Thank you very much for your attention.
Pasar al fondo. Alguno se tendrá que sentar en estas sillas de la mesa, ¿vale? Bueno, muchas gracias. Seguimos con el Colegio Liceo La Corolla de Gijón, con Yago Álvarez.
We move on with the next school, La Corolla Lyceum School of Gijón. They will address a topic entitled Crop Genome Editing and Ecosystem Balance, a lot to think about. You have the floor.
Os avisaré cuando queden 2 minutos, ¿vale?
When you have 2 minutes left, I will let you know.
Mucha madre veo yo por aquí, Solina.
I see many mothers, Isolina. Good morning, we are David and Yago. We are studying Primero de la ESO at the school La Corolla. Firstly, thank you so much to the International Society of Bioethics and the Center of Resources of the teachers for giving us the opportunity to be today here. And thank you to all the participants for the contributions. They are a gift in the form of questions, and they encourage us to continue discussing and looking for answers. It is the first Congress with Isolina as a president of the scientific committee, and the first as Marcelo Palacios as honorific president, and we would like to wish you the best to you both. 8 years have passed by since in 2016 Clara and Ulises, former students, shared the first round table of the school La Corolla. Now they are studying at the university. Ulises, aviation pilot in Miami, and Clara, biotechnology in Barcelona. For them, it was a great experience. We asked Clara to send us some words to open up our talk. And this is her message, and I quote, "Dear members of the CB, dear Mr. Palacios, thank you very much for teaching me so much about bioethics. Attendees, with these genetic editing techniques, a new era starts. We have to be very cautious because our actions may have future impact and we cannot foresee. I am sure that, as done before, other challenges on bioethics will be the watch to follow and the lighthouse. I wish you a great Congress, and I trust your conclusions that I hope to read very soon. I'm sure they will mark a future for us." As Clara says, right now there are many big challenges but also great opportunities. Two great challenges are the population growth and climate change. Population growth implies that the amount of people on our planet is greater and greater. There are more people alive nowadays than ever, and people are older and older. Climate change means that there are great variations in aspects such as temperature, rainfall, wind, and storms. The climate in general is changing, and it is happening very fast. The climate change affects the way in which plants and animals and people live and grow. In many places, climate change means a warmer climate. Therefore, farmers need to grow plants that are more healthy in these heat conditions. Another effect is drought. Less rain in more places and more rain in other places. How do we feed people then in this new situation? In 2012, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Carpenter published in the magazine Science an article that was revolutionary. They, with a couple of molecular scissors, could cut, paste, and edit DNA, and they were awarded with a Nobel Award because of the development of CRISPR as a tool to edit genes. Could this gene editing tool, CRISPR, help us create plants that can resist and fight against climate change? Some people are talking about rice that can grow even in floods, and tomatoes that can even grow in drought terrain. For many thousands of years, human beings have changed their crops through a process called selective growing. They select different specimens, and therefore we have new varieties like this one that we are showing you, and we can find today. At the beginning we had other seeds. Genetic editing allows us to do something similar with some advantages. It is much faster. It could add new traits, not only to choose between different natural variants. It could help us grow crops that grow faster, bigger, and that need less water or less fertilizers or pesticides. The objectives for CRISPR will be the same ones as for technologies. In terms of classical enhancement, that is, the technologies change, but problems are the same: increased performance, resistance, stress, better quality. CRISPR technology will not replace the classical enhancement. They will work together. Is there a way towards the food safety? In the case of the use of genetic editing in primary industry as agriculture or farming, could we say that as long as they are beneficial for humanity, they are beneficial? Well, if you edit crops, this could increase the performance or the properties, but it could modify some of the ecosystems. We think that if we talk about intervention in ecosystem, we have to be very cautious, because any alteration may have very bad consequences. Altered ecosystems can have unforeseen effects in other species. How do we assess and mitigate these consequences? Who assumes the responsibility if ecological alterations happen? Future is in our hands, led by generosity, science, and empathy, and commitment with ethics, because a great power comes hand in hand with a great responsibility. As the Uncle Ben in Spider-Man said, what we do today affects the future generations and ecosystems. Thank you very much. We are counting on you.
Muchas gracias a vosotros por ajustaros al tiempo. Gracias a los tres colegios. Quiero dar las gracias a los profesores.
Thank you very much. They have explained something outside the curricular context of their school. I think they have made a great effort, and thank you very much to all the teachers who have helped these students. Thank you so much. And now my colleague will chair the debate. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to have some time for Q&A with our young students. I do not know whether anyone would like to take the floor.
Ahora, me sumo al agradecimiento.
Thank you so much, as Esperanza said. Thank you to students, and thank you to teachers as well, because they have discussed these scientific advances in the classroom. And obviously these advances are very promising, but they also come hand in hand with some dangers. I would like you to highlight a bit more the benefits than dangers. It is good to learn about dangers, but not necessarily to show them as this is the most important danger, because we're going to fight in society, you know, because, for example, the use of CRISPR, you have named, the 3 groups have named it, it is a hope for millions of people who have incurable diseases. And the inappropriate use or not recommended use that may happen, of course it has to be mentioned, but we have to insist on the positive side of the coin. I like to add something to what the first school mentioned regarding transgenic bodies or organisms or animals. You said at some point that TGs, there is no scientific evidence that they are beneficial. Well, it's just the contrary, I'm afraid. There is no scientific evidence that TGs, either plants or animals, pose any problem to health or human beings or the environment. It is important to underscore this so that the society understands it, because otherwise we're contributing to perpetuating fear and the association of TG with a negative trait. It is not good or bad. It is just a scientific advance, as in any other advance can have good applications or bad applications. And as you are members of the next society, you will have the opportunity either to get involved or contribute or participate in these advances, and you will be able to make decisions, no, for the future of science. Thank you.
Si queréis contestar alguno.
Would you like to say anything or answer anything?
Que si no, no se deciden.
Bueno, lo de la parte de centrar.
Yes, the fact of focusing only on the negative side, I focus on cancer that can be treated with this technique, because I wanted to approach it from a beneficial standpoint. The use of this technique is very helpful. Of course, dangers also have to be taken into account. We can also cure hunger or famine, no? As for cancer cure, the advances that allow us to see the light, to see how cancer grows in vivo, is something magnificent, never imagined before. Okay, if 30 years ago you tell someone that you are going to be able to see this, they would not believe you. And we will have more and more advances thanks to this technique, and we will have a better world, undoubtedly.
Isolina quería intervenir. ¿Tenemos un micro por ahí?
I think Isolina wanted to have the floor. Yes, thank you. Firstly and foremost, congratulations to students and teachers. Congress after Congress. This is not the first time we have students here in this venue. Some of them are already studying at the university. So we've had many, many students in all the editions of this World Conference. You are the hope. You are the future. You are the next scientists of this planet, and this planet needs you a lot. So please, move on. Continue working hard. Just a couple of remarks. I am a teacher of philosophy. So, bioethics and philosophy try to focus on ethics in research, ethics of life, which should be bioethics. So congratulations, and also congratulate especially students. I think it is not by chance that it is a young person who focuses and underscores the principles of empathy, responsibility, and the fact of generating that ethical duty that we have towards life and science. So congratulations, and we need you to reflect upon this topic from philosophy, from ethics, from law, anthropology, because there is a lot to do. I'm going to get in a mess because I know there are many other experts here, but I just want to call your attention upon the possibility of human enhancement. There are more experts than myself in this room. A technique such as CRISPR technique can only intervene in the modification of some disorders and diseases, but only targeting one gene, but it cannot be used to enhance the human being so that we are taller or we have blue eyes or blonde hair, because there are many more experts than myself who have insisted on this issue in the last 3 days. Those enhancements, quote unquote, we still do not know, are uncertain about the number of genes. And be careful with eugenesia, the enhancement for the better. We have to, well, put it in question marks, even if we are very optimistic. Of course we are very optimistic, but we cannot deny that CRISPR is opening up new doors. Thank you very much for making us feel so happy. We never know if we are going to come back here. But to know that after 25 years celebrating this conference, you are today here talking about this topic, I think that makes us all very happy. Thank you and congratulations.
Muchas gracias. Vamos a Isolina.
Isolina, you have the floor, please. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate you on everything that you have contributed with, all your hard work, together with your professors and teachers. I was thrilled when I was listening to you, because with your language, with a lot of rigor and with a lot of humor, and even through art, you illustrated the fears, the concerns and the dreams posed by these technologies. As Marcelo Palacios says, this is the jewel of the crown of the CB. You are the jewel of the crown, no? You are the future. Esperanza mentioned it. You will be the future legal experts, nurses, physicians, biologists. And I loved the message you launched. Future is in our hands. The future depends on each of us. So thank you very much for that warning, for urging us to act, to reflect, because we need to decide the future we wish, inclusive for everybody. So thank you very much. And we know that you are now taking final tests at the school, and it is a very busy time for you, so thank you for making time to be here this morning. Thank you so much.
Pues muchas gracias. Tenemos una mano por allí también, me parece.
So we have a question over there, right? You are the pride of CB. Of this city, you and your engaged teachers, they have shown real commitment to all the contents of the scientific and bioethical world. You are our hope. You are learning in your schools, in high schools, and through the message of CB in such a harmful world, such a violent world. You're learning to use the best weapon that you have, your words, for dialogue, for agreement, for concord, to prevent using missiles and destroy countries such as Gaza. We have a representative from Ukraine, and you're using your words precisely with that. Precisely because we need your words to make peace. So I praise you and your teachers and those who couldn't make it here today. I think in the previous conference we paid homage to the teachers who made this possible in previous occasions. Some of them were about to retire. 72 teachers. And just a final consideration, to my right is the person who opened the conference and this edition, Professor Montoliu, one of the biggest experts on this topic in our country, who is a great communicator. So I'd like to say that the honorary president of this conference is Professor Francis Mojica. Do never forget it, because he was the one who discovered the CRISPR sequence, and he chairs this conference. He deserves the highest international recognition. We hope he will get it someday.
Por allí tenemos algunas preguntas.
Questions?
¿Alguien se está...
Questions? Somebody is teasing the moderator. I just want to join my colleagues who have shown their respect to all the students. I don't want to repeat myself because almost everything has been said. But I have a question addressed to any of you. How do you perceive these topics in your daily lives? Do you ever talk about this with your friends, your colleagues? I don't know. Please let us know how this is perceived in the general society, in the society at large, in your daily lives, please. So these are not the daily topics we talk about, but when they arise, we pay attention to them. I'm personally very much attracted by these topics, genetic engineering and biotechnology, so I love talking and knowing more about this. And I'd love to study that in the future. And, well, I think I can speak on behalf of my colleagues when I say that we have spent a lot of time in this, because it's our vocation. This is something we want to do in the future. So I know they're not common conversation topics among us, but I think we should pay more attention to them so that we can have more informed opinions, so that we can discuss it, because as many people say, the future lies in our hands. Okay. We have 3 more questions, right? I have a question about gene therapy. I would like to know whether equal and universal access to these technologies, is it for real? Do you think it's achievable? Do you think it is realistic to really not use this technology just because part of the world cannot access it? Are we denying people with cancer or other diseases the possibility to use it just because other people can't? Is your question addressed to someone in particular or everyone?
Vale, ¿se escucha? Vale.
So, if we can guarantee that CRISPR-Cas9 will be equitable and accessible to everyone, well, I think not everyone in the world will be able to use these technologies, or even if they can use them, they will not be able to use them at the same level. For example, in the US, there can be technologies that can enhance or cure diseases. So it will create more inequality in the global economy, and I don't think that is advisable. Since it cannot be used in an equitable way, it will create more inequality. Maybe in the US, cancer can be treated with these techniques, but other techniques are still solving their hunger crisis and things like that. So maybe we could get subsidies so that people with lower purchasing power could benefit from these technologies too.
Respecto a tu pregunta, nosotros lo...
So we are talking about using this technology for cosmetic reasons, to change your skin color or your hair color, not for therapeutical purposes. If we use this technology for cosmetic purposes, it will make the prices soar, and then people who could afford it will buy it, and those who couldn't wouldn't. If it's for therapeutical purposes, I think the price can be smoothed out. More questions? Good morning, everyone. I have a remark. My name is José Alberto Mendoza. I come from Colombia. This is my first such conference. Not the last one, I hope. Thank you for being so welcoming with us foreigners, because this activity, well, I want to congratulate you, because this activity is like closing the loop, bridging the gap, because this shows that you have made an effort to try and disseminate all this information so that it reaches the society at large by inviting the students. This is knowledge transfer. So it's like science is something that lies out of us, and it is not true. Most importantly, we need to get it closer to people. We've been saying all through this conference, it is very important for the society to know what is being done, so that the media that manipulate information stop doing so. And especially for these new generations to learn that there is much more, that there's life behind TikTok and Instagram and the like, and that science is closer to you than you would think.
Pues muchas gracias, Esperanza.
Thank you, Esperanza. Questions? No. Everybody has already congratulated you, so I just want to make you a question, just for the three schools. What was the most difficult part of preparing this presentation? Understanding how CRISPR works, or how to explain it using your own words? This is the question to you all. Maybe we can start it with Jovellanos School. So in general, preparing this project was time consuming, and we have focused each of us in a specific technique, the applications, or the technique, or the ethical applications, a reflection and introduction. In a regional way. There are many things to address. This is something quite recent, so there is still a lot of work to do. But we collaborated together in preparing this. So the most challenging part was to explain it, because more or less we understand the process, but trying to explain it with our own words was quite challenging. So many variables and so many different things. Well, so that's why we rushed through the exposé. But we will keep on working on it if you wanna know more about this. So for us, well, we're younger, as you know, so we didn't know that much about this topic, so it was quite a challenge for us. But well, we've learned a lot about it in the process. And of course, presenting it before you was very, very challenging and stressful. I do have more questions. The best way for you to change the way you see reality, or that your point of view contributes to shaping the future and the reality, is precisely this kind of event. So I have a question for each of you, for each of the schools. First, Colegio La Salle. So you said, well, you created a cow. My question to you is, if we modified the cow so that it produces a milk that would be okay for people with lactose intolerance to drink, that will benefit a lot of people. Do you think that would be an appropriate use of these techniques? Because otherwise many people will have to stop drinking milk. Or the second question is whether it is unacceptable because of the quality of milk or because of the animals' rights. Well, I think that is an enhancement, because you would be helping many people to drink milk in a safe way. So it is an enhancement. But at the same time, we need to think about the animals. They have the rights, and any modification can really have a later impact on our bodies, if you think about it. Well, this is a question for Colegio La Corolla. You talked about the environment. What is the connection with the environment? Can we care about the environment and at the same time human quality and animal welfare, animal well-being? Well, it's quite difficult.
A ver, te ayudo.
Vale.
Algo de esto ya lo hicisteis, ¿no?
Yo, en mi opinión, sería muy difícil encontrar.
Well, in my opinion, it would be very difficult for us to find a solution that would be beneficial for both the environment and the living organisms. But sometimes it is true .
A ver, yo te ayudo un poco. Vosotros mismos decíais, ¿no?, que de algún modo nosotros podíamos mejorar los cultivos, que eso sería bueno, ¿no?, para las personas, pero que...
So I can help you out. You said that crops can be enhanced, which would be good for us people, but at the same time we need to care about the environment, so you will have to strike a balance, right? Yes, I gave the example of the bananas, because, for example, bananas in the past apparently had seeds and they were not good for human consumption, but now we can eat them because they're seedless. But if, for example, well, that is an enhancement, and at the same time, if we improve a seed so that it can be more resistant to plagues and to drought, that would be okay. But if at the same time it has consequences for an animal species, it will pass on the consequences to the animal species that feed on them. And then a question for the other school. This is a hypothesis. Instituto Jovellanos, imagine we have a safe technique, harmless technique, risk-free technique that can be accessible to anyone, because this is a recurrent idea, right? The idea of justice and equal access, etc. So, in that ideal situation, do you think trying to enhance the human species would still be a negative idea, would still be a bad idea? Well, depends on what you think an enhancement is. What kind of enhancement? Being able to see in the dark, like owls, or, I don't know, being super strong? But those enhancements can create imbalances in hormones and, I don't know, many unexpected consequences. So even if we did it, we should do progressively. Because if we enhance something in everyone at the same time, we will create a huge imbalance. It will all go down the drain. So if we are to do something, let's do it little by little. If feasible, if applicable, maybe we could try and enhance everyone's skills and capabilities, but I think it will be a very long process, not as long as the natural evolution process, but it will take very long. Thank you.
¿Más preguntas del público?
More questions?
Por favor, un micrófono allí.
Gracias.
Thank you. I came from Brazil, a country that is one of the biggest food producers in the world, top 3. Meat, soy, etc. And many people are hungry. So my message to you is, even if I congratulate you, thank you for doing this. And I would also like to thank Isolina, who will be chairing this conference from now on, and the society. And I want to tell you, science can be used for good or for evil. Atomic energy, nuclear energy can treat diseases through chemotherapy or the therapies, but it can also be used to create atomic bombs. So the question by the president of the panel is very relevant, because of course the use of genetically modified organisms can increase by 2, 3, 4-fold, 10-fold food production, but at the same time it can also create poisons that are disrupting the universal environment. I went to a beach in northeastern Brazil 2 months ago, and the water was so hot, almost 30 degrees. And now there are weather disruptions everywhere. The Amazon is being threatened by a drought. Even if there are so many rivers, and even if it has much of the fresh water of the planet, there is drought. So yes, technological progress is wonderful, but ethics is a fundamental aspect for it to be used in a suitable way for the future generations and for the whole population. My message to you is, today we can do virtually everything with science. We can clone mammals, cattle, cows. We could clone humans, but with immense risks. So the core question of ethics today is not to do what we can do, but what we should do. The limit, the boundary is not a technical one anymore. The boundary is an ethical one. I won't do it because I should not do it. I mustn't. I really loved your answers because we can realize that the youth is really alert and aware of all these issues. So thank you, Marcelo, Isolina, and everyone at CB and your teachers. Thank you, and please receive a warm hug from me and from my country.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. My name is Pablo Fernandez. I'm a doctor and a member of the scientific committee of CB. So I liked your presentations very much. They have focused on 3 different things, but you have reached similar conclusions. I will focus on one of them. The message that we should be cautious. This is a call for cautiousness because, as Bernal said, you have very soon realized that this is a tool and means that can serve different purposes, different ends. But even if we have good intentions, we can arrive to unexpected conclusions or outcomes. And even if we don't harm anybody, we can segregate and set people apart from others. So even if we don't do it directly on anyone, some people will be left behind with our actions. And this is a very important consideration in bioethics. So you have different ages, you are of different ages. Some of you might have studied philosophy, some others might not. Aristotle many years ago talked about ethics and the importance of being cautious. And he said that the youth we can request you, we can ask you to show some virtues, for example, beauty or physical vigor or intelligence or goodness, but not caution. We cannot ask you to be cautious. This is not one of your traits. You need to be more mature to be cautious. And yet, you have shown that you are very cautious. So I think maybe Aristotle was wrong, or maybe you are an exception. But I felt very reassured after listening to you, because in my opinion, generation after generation, you're showing that you are better prepared than we were at your age, and that you have better values than we had at your age. I am convinced, I am persuaded of that, and you have proven it here. So I feel very reassured about our future, because as you said, the future lies in your hand, literally in your hands. Thank you. Thank you. I want to use the occasion to ask you to utter a final claim or a final statement, because we are projecting our hopes on you all the time. What would you say to the current scientists, to the elderly, those who came before you, the doctors, the scientists, people who work on ethics? What would you say to us, to them? Something along the lines of, do not do this, or do this, do that.
Ha sido muy rara la...
Yeah, my question has been very weird, I think. Okay, like a final statement. What do you want for the future, and what we adults have to do to prepare your future? If there are no ideas, we leave it at that. No worries. And now you can say whatever you wish. Hello again. A statement that I think fits in is, with great power, we need great responsibility. So I think that we are not doing very badly. We are researching, we are analyzing possibilities. There are many. As long as we are responsible and we act cautiously and we analyze all the possible consequences, I think the future is promising.
A mí si me dais la capacidad de...
If you allow me to say anything I wish, I would like to thank everybody who has looked into this topic, above all the discovery, the one who discovered this technique. Because why are we more skilled? And why are we here today? Well, because they made great efforts. We have investigated and we have studied the topic, but thanks to what other people did before us. So thank you very much to all the professionals of biology, philosophy and bioethics who are here today. Thank you.
Pues una frase que yo creo que sería la más viable.
A statement for the adults and researchers is that do not hurry. Do not hurry, because we do not need a change right now. If we need more time to have more tests, more trials, to be safer for future generations, it will be better. So do not hurry up. Well, there is a statement I like. Do not do what you want, do what you should. Because nowadays, big corporates, they do whatever they want to do to make more money. And ethically, some of the things they do are not good. And we should try to think a little bit more about how to act with caution, what we should do, thinking about future generations. Well, thank you so much. We have heard your message. Anybody else? No? Okay, so we close up here, because at 1 o'clock we have the official closing ceremony. We have a brilliant future ahead of us with these people, students who are going to follow the path of current thinkers and experts. So that is all from us. Thank you very much to everybody.